Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack.
You know who I can do without? I can do without the people in the video store.
Which ones?
All of them. They never rent quality flicks. They always pick the most intellectually devoid movie on the racks.
And now, on with the show.
Channel 62 has the lowest ratings in the history of television. What they need is a new station manager.
No, not him. Forget it. No way.
A man of action. A man of courage. A man of vision.
What's your name?
Billy.
Billy what?
What they get is a man so desperate, he'll put anyone on the air.
Hey, Stanley.
Yeah, George?
How'd you like your own TV show?
He's Conan, the librarian.
Today, we're teaching poodles how to fly.
We beat out the networks.
George Newman. He starts where the others stop.
We're the #1 station in town.
Put it in. I'm tired of people thinking I'm some kind of joke.
Your dad and I agreed it would be best if you just stop being who you are and doing the things you love.
My whole life, all I wanted.
I'm afraid we found your son at a polka party.
Is to make up new words to a song that already exists.
Oh, well, you should do that then.
Ooh, my little hungry one, hungry one, open up a package of my banana.
Hey guys, what's going on? You are listening to This Week in Geek.net's Loose Cannon, the show that is dedicated to movies, new, old, obscure. You literally can't escape them from TikTok or Instagram or wherever. But I'm one of your video store clerks today. I am Mike the Birdman, but I'm not alone as I travel across these aisles where they're usually filled with popcorn and weird crap that I've never heard of. From the great state of New Jersey, I'm joined with
Ken from This Anime.
And Twig's regional video store manager from the Paris of Ohio,
David Denoyer from Do You Even Movie, coming to you from Ohio.
That's right, guys. We are back here on the show, and this is an idea that we've been cooking up for quite some time, and I'm really glad I went back to go back and, wow, I just said that a lot of times. I'm really glad I had a chance to view these movies again. One of these for the first time in easily probably 20, 25 years, and one I'd never seen, and I was highly skeptical of it when I saw the casting. But when I did watch it, it was a pleasant surprise. So what are we going to be talking about today? Well, we're going to look at the two Weird Al movies. Now, he's had cameos in movies like he did the theme song for Spy Hard. I'm pretty sure he had a cameo in that. I think he had a cameo in one of the Naked Gun movies. I think 33 and the Third.
All three of the Naked Gun movies.
Oh, I forgot he was a number two.
He's in all three of the Naked Gun movies.
Who knows? He could appear in the reboot that's coming up. So
I hope he does. Like that would be a nice way. And weirdly enough, he's in Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie because reasons.
My God, he roasts Malcolm McDowell in that movie, and it is like one of the best scenes. And I actually, like, we talked about it on Halloween ranking. I appreciate things in Zombies too, but that sequence of putting Malcolm McDowell with weird fucking talk show was genius.
Like, literally, Rob Zombie is a guy. You know what? We're going to have to talk about the films of Rob Zombie. Maybe for a Halloween loose cannon, we're just going to put a pin in that.
Oh, Robert Zombie? We can talk about Robert Zombie.
And I think I might have some fun because some of these movies I've grown to love and some of them I've really grown to dislike over the years. But anyway,
I would say just a side note that real quick. I would say we should probably do the Firefly trilogy, which would be House 1000 Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and the Three from Hell. And then if we wanted to toss in two that I think are decent, I would say Lords of Salem and 31.
Those would be the two ones that I would pick as well, because those are the ones I've heard a lot about in the last couple of years.
Lords of Salem is his masterpiece. He will never be able to top Lords of Salem, and that's the problem, is people were not ready for Lords of Salem. So I think that's a movie that as we get further and further, it's going to get appraised more and more.
Did he... I forget, did he direct or just produce the Haunted World of El Super Beasto or whatever?
Oh, no, that's his creation.
That movie's fucking awesome.
I was not the biggest fan of it. It's been a good while since I've seen it. It was just in that era of zombie being gratuitous for gratuitous sake, because that movie is weird. But yeah, I mean, I'd be willing to give it another look. But yeah, I think 31 is a good movie in the standpoint that it's exactly what you would expect from Rob Zombie to have his own Hunger Games in a sense.
So yeah, we are going to be talking about that at some point later on this year, but we're going to go from the hyper violent to the hyper weird, and we're going to talk about Weird Al. So to give a little bit of background on this, and I'd love to hear how you guys all got into Weird Al. So as I've told on this show many times, I grew up in small town rural Ontario, the armpit of culture and dignity, and I did not have a lot of exposure to new music kind of growing up. I had the AM 560 CFOS, which is the local radio station where I grew up, and how I got into radio, actually, where I first had my first radio tour in the early 90s. And then we had Mix 106, which was the adult contemporary channel. And it was just soccer mom radio all day, every day. The same 6 songs you've heard with radio DJ JD Moffat. And it was terrible. But they would occasionally have something called the All Request Lunch Break. And, anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So in the 90s, I had this really good friend, my best friend at the time, named Quincy. And I remember he showed me a movie that his father had taped off of TV called UHF. And obviously, being the goofy kid that I am, found it absolutely hysterical. And then he loaned me a cassette tape of Smells. I can't remember the name of the album. I think it was just called. What was the Weird Al album that had Smells Like Nirvana on it?
Oh, Off the Deep End.
Off the Deep End, where it's Weird Al in the pool, and there's a donut on a fucking hook, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty strange. So I got listened to it, and I was obsessed with that. I actually got busted for shoplifting a Weird Al tape when I was a kid. That's right. I'm a criminal, but I was never formally charged. I was just got stopped in the store. So not a criminal, expunged. Anyway. And then in 1993, Alapalooza came out with the Jurassic Park song based on MacArthur Park. And I was off to the races, so to speak. So I was buying CDs when I got my first CD player back in 1995. I actually remember my first CD was, I feel embarrassed saying this out loud, but do you guys remember a song by an artist called Wigfield called Saturday Night? Please say no. Mm-hmm. Please say no.
Yeah,
Fuck
I
off,
have no recollection.
Oh,
for me.
Thank God. So now that I'm not dying of cringe, because I'm afraid of what Dave might actually think of me. So I remember going to a local store called Music World, and I bought every single Weird Al CD that I could find. I remember them going out of their way to get me his first album. I had Weird Al in 3D. I had Greatest Hits. I was actually even buying the compilation CDs that had tracks from albums that I'd already had. And I literally had every single Weird Al CD by the time I think he did Straight Outta Linwood, which would have been around 2004, I want to say, after he did Riding White and Nerdy, which I still think is one of his greatest songs he's ever done. And I was obsessed with Weird Al. That very much channeled a lot of my humor, kind of grown up, if you can't tell. But I really loved Weird Al. I would go out of my way if he was in a movie or if he did like a song on a soundtrack, like, as I mentioned, like Spy Hard. He did the theme song for that. I remember, like you said, we mentioned The Naked Gun. I remember when I saw him, as we mentioned, in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, he fucking shows up. I'm like, what? And I remember I was in the theater. I saw this when I was in grad school for public relations. And I was at this little weird theater that was tucked in the world's most dangerous mall, I swear to God. Where I think I saw Ninja Assassin, I think it was called, was like the other movie I saw like the same day or something. And I remember I'm in the theater, I'm half asleep because I'm so wiped out because I was sleeping like 3 or 4 hours a night doing college. And I bolted up in my seat and I remember, what? And I was just, that was very, very surreal. I literally thought I was dying or having a heart attack because I couldn't believe Rob Zombie put Weird Al in a movie. But yeah, like I just loved it. I remember growing up, even right now, I can still, if you ask me to sing The Saga Begins, which was the song American Pie by Don McLean that they did for Star Wars Episode 1, I can do that one almost off by heart. I can do
that he wrote without seeing the movie. He had a treatment and he wrote the song without even seeing the movie, and it's so incredible.
Yeah, like it's astounding. And just the fact that Weird Al has this very unique way of writing music, just it's so captivating. And when we get to talking about the Al Yankovic story, I really can appreciate just how good of an artist he really is. Like literally once in a generation do you get someone this talented as a songwriter.
And what's crazy is he's multiple generations of popularity.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
he stayed relevant so long, and it was because of his record contract too.
Yeah, like he knew exactly how to make. I think it was a Scotty Brothers. I want to say he was with for like the longest time. I think Scotty, now it's Universal. But yeah, it's just like this is a guy who did so much, really stayed, like you said, so relevant for so long. One other memory I'll share, and this will be Canadiana 101. So we used to have a channel. I don't think we have it anymore, but it was called Much Music. And Much Music was like your MTV. You would have VJs who'd come out and introduce music videos. They would talk. But in Toronto, we used to have this place called Speaker's Corner. And Speaker's Corner was a place down in Toronto where they had a video camera set up. You would pop in, I think it was free, maybe it was like $1, whatever. And very famous Canadians would show up, like Mike Myers, the Bare Naked Ladies, could be anybody off the street, whatever. And you would go and just record shit, right? And it was just part of the Canadian identity on City TV and on Much Music, whatever. And we used to have a TV show called Speaker's Corner. But anyway, so Much Music was the place to be in Canada. However, in the early 90s and all the way through the mid 90s, they would get Weird Al to come in for an afternoon from like 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. or something like that. It was at least 2 or 3 hours. And you would get Al music. And Al would literally take over the music station and he would do MST3K riffing over music videos. And he would recut interviews with famous people like James Brown, where it would cut to him asking a question and James Brown would give these nonsensical answers. And I remember, I wish I could remember what the James Brown answer was, but I remember the question very well. It's like, so how do you like your hot dogs? And James Brown would give this really intense answer. And Weird Al was like, I don't understand what you're trying to say to me, but that sounds very intense. How do you feel about this? And again, nonsensical answer. And it was so fucking weird. And because of Al music, that's how I discovered bands like Pearl Jam, because I had never heard the song Jeremy before. Again, rural Ontario, it's all country music and other bullshit. So
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wonderside's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wonderside.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wonderside.com. Wonderside. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wonderside today.
When he played the song Jeremy, that's how I found that out. The only song I'd heard was Smells Like Nirvana. I'd never heard Smells Like Teen Spirit. So Weird Al also did one where he talked over the music video for Heart Shaped Box. I'd never heard that before. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy shit, this is really fucking funny. But the song, like, this is really good. And I discovered so many artists through this. And I don't even know whether clips exist of Al music on YouTube. I really hope they do, but it was such an eye-opening experience as a child that it was really cool. So I hope other Canadians like myself remember seeing Weird Al on Much Music in the 90s, because again, you're right, he was so culturally relevant at that time. Obviously things would change. And yeah, I mean, I remember some of his biggest hits at the time was Amish Paradise, which was based on Gangster's Paradise by Coolio, which hit big with the 90s movie Dangerous Minds. Bad Hair Day had Hold Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me, Thrill Me by U2, which was parodied as Drill Me, which was like the dentist song.
Dentist office, yeah.
Yeah, then there was Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls by TLC, got parodied into Don't Go Making Phony Calls.
Yep.
Stuff like that. Again, just a wonderful musical career that in the 80s, 90s, and into the early 2000s was so culturally relevant. Now, kind of changed after, I want to say after 2008, I think the parodies became less good. And again, that's a very subjective thing because music had changed so much, in my opinion. Like, I don't know, like I haven't even listened to Mandatory Fun more than one way through. And I think right now, as of this recording, I think he has a residency in Vegas, which would be very cool to see. But anyway, so I'm going to throw it to Ken. How did you discover Weird Al?
I was a middle schooler, and this was mainly his stuff that became like viral on early YouTube. So like you go like Canadian Idiot, Stuck in a Drive-Thru.
Excuse me, that's Trapped in the Drive-Thru. I just want to be clear about that.
Trapped in Drive-Thru, sorry. But just more of a passive love of Weird Al. I'm not like a super fan of his work. Every so often, if his stuff pops up in rotation on anything I listen to music-wise, it's like, all right, cool. I get a lot of I've been associated with a lot of the inspired by Weird Al stuff that has come out as a result of his work. Like I'm a big fan of Ninja Sex Party, which is very much, you can feel the Weird Al in Ninja Sex Party coming out. Even though they do a lot of original stuff, but the comedy stylings is very Weird Al. But yeah, no, that's pretty much my association with Weird Al.
All right, Dave, what about yourself, my friend?
This might get a little long-winded, so I apologize in
Oh,
advance.
go for it.
This is an artist to me that is on the same tier as like Alice Cooper and Kiss as far as artists that made me feel seen, not only as a fan but also just as a person. Because the one thing about Weird Al that always connects in my brain is the name Weird Al Yankovic is such a creative name that is synonymous to so many people now, because he was the pop culture zeitgeist of our time, and that could span to anybody's time, because from the 80s and the 90s to the early 2000s to the early 2010s, like, he was always around. And like I mentioned, that, you know, the whole thing with his record contract was absolutely why he was, you know, pumping out those albums and being able to stay in that light. But on top of that, what made me very aware of Weird Al first and foremost was VH1. VH1 would highlight, have hours of his videos. They'd have the E! True Hollywood Music special as well on there, on the E! Network. So, I mean, he was on multiple networks, his music videos, interviews, all that stuff. And he would pop up on awards and all this stuff. But I remember being young and seeing the video for Fat, or even an advertisement for like a Weird Al hour, and the video and eat it, and being like to my parents, like, you know, oh my God, who is this? And my parents were like, oh, that's Weird Al. And then Dad had like Polka Party on cassette tape, and then he ended up getting me a VHS that I still have to this day. That's the Weird Al music video collection that had all of them, like up to the late 90s and whatnot. So it's funny because he became somebody to me that was not only just an icon, but his music gave me comfort. Not only the laughs that I got from it, but like songs like She Never Told Me She Was a Mime, and Achy Breaky Song, and I mean, the list goes on and on. The Night Santa Went Crazy, Albuquerque. I mean, these songs I still know lyric by lyric to this day because of how much of a fan I was of his work. And then seeing interviews with him and hearing his story, like, he was genuinely just a nerd who found his niche in doing parodies. And like you said, Ken, alerted me to so many, music artists, not just hearing the original songs and then hearing his versions of them, or vice versa, hearing his verse first and then finding the original song. Because that's one thing I think that a lot of people don't give him credit for, is his band, him on vocals, his band are fucking incredible, because the amount that they can replicate, the amount that they can make the songs sound exactly like the other song. I remember one time scrapbooking party over, and I was just on the computer listening to music. And it was funny because Addicted to Spuds came on. And my mom and her friends were like nodding their heads and getting ready to sing the lyrics. And then all of a sudden you hear potato skins, potato cakes. And they're just like, what the hell are you listening to? And I'm like, it's Weird Al. And they're just like, oh my God. Like, you know, they were ready to throw down on Addicted to Love, but, you know, because that song sounds exactly like it. And that is one big epitome of his career, is that his music has never laxed. His lyrics have never laxed. It's just been like Ken said it perfectly. Sometimes the music have changed, and therefore the parodies that he can create with what he has is, you know, not amazing, but like, it's still good. He doesn't have a bad song, in my opinion. He's always put his heart and soul into it, just like songs like Hardware Store. If anybody knows the song Hardware Store, they know the infamous part where, would you look at all that stuff? They got Al, just, I can't even do it. I used to be able to do it, but I can't even do that lyric spread right now. I mean, he's done it live at concerts and has done it verbatim perfectly. I mean, the man is so talented. The man is so incredible. He's so smart, and still is so fucking weird to this day. He retains that name because a normal person couldn't just come up with the amount of parodies off the stuff he has. And, you know, him becoming a dad, him getting married, you could see a lot of that also in his music, but he's always stayed the same to creating these parodies that are just laugh out loud funny, bizarre, violent sometimes. I mean, the fact that Albuquerque literally, you know, has part about him stabbing a guy in the face and, like, you know, all this stuff. One of my all-time favorites is Why Does This Always Happen to Me, where he talks about being in a 40 car pileup and seeing that his buddy Rob is dead, and he's like, poor Rob, I just had lunch with him. Hey, wait a minute, he still owes me money. What a jerk. Well, there's $5 that I'm never gonna see again. Like, the cynicalness and the humor that are in these lyrics are so original and funny. But like, one thing I've always loved about him in regards to his audience is he's a big hit with the Christian crowd. But what's funny about the Christian crowd too is that they only play a certain amount of his songs, because like once you get to the violent ones and the weird ones, they kind of tap out. But the amount of like overnights and stuff I went to when I was like involved with my church shit when I was really young, Weird Al was a popular person among that crowd too. So it's just like he expands to so many different cultures, and has been a reason that I've had so many friends connect with me, is because like we've connected over Weird Al. And what's funny even more so with that is like, you know, we're getting ready to talk about UHF and Weird. UHF I didn't see until probably my mid-teens, when I'd already been a Weird Al fan for like, you know, a decade easy. UHF came onto my zeitgeist a little late. And so then when I discovered UHF and then, you know, went even further into the Weird Al TV show, and like you were saying, like the music clips and whatnot, like one of my all-time favorites, the interviews you were talking about, is Weird Al Gets Whiplashed, where they cut together Weird Al and Whiplash with J.K. Simmons. And it's the scene where he's confronting the guy about being off tempo. It is the funniest fucking edit that I have seen in a long, long time. And I luckily had seen it when my dad, who was a big purveyor of getting me into Weird Al, because, you know, he had gotten me VHS and he had the old cassette tape that he passed off to me. I actually, about probably 8 years ago, got to take him on the Mandatory Fun Tour. And that was kind of almost like a full circle moment, because it was like, you know, the mentor got to be taken out by his mentee of seeing this guy that he'd never actually seen live. Neither of us had seen him live before. And he is just as ecstatic and energetic on those albums as he is on stage every single performance. I mean, the man is a legend, and it's not anything light because of that. He just has a career that has been so strong throughout the years that he's been going, that even the fact that Mandatory Fun was his last album, he just released a polka compilation like not even 4 months ago that was, you know, all the popular songs polkaized like he does, and it's still great. And I mean, it's so awesome that I've got to travel with him through this point. And I mean, you know, seeing the original image of like what he looks like in the Fat videos and the Eat It videos compared to what he looks like now, he still looks like the same guy. He's just lost his facial hair and he's gotten older. But you know what? He ain't stopping. And he's Weird fucking Al, and he has cemented himself in music history and pop culture history forever.
Yeah, like I'm so surprised that he has stayed, as far as I know, controversy free. He has always remained super accessible to anybody who wants to see him. I said, I've never heard a bad Weird Al story. Not once.
The only controversy he has is the Coolio thing, and then that was settled years ago. I mean, it was just a hot topic because it was just like, Coolio's mad at Weird Al.
Like, yeah, fucking right. Like, yeah, and like evidently they squashed beef and stuff like that. And yeah, and I remember there was the big joke around the music industry, you know, you've made it big when Weird Al parodies you. And I think it's insanely true. Like, I was surprised when White and Nerdy came out, because like Chameleonaire, I'm not going to say he is, you know, the most wholesome person in the world.
Yeah.
But you let him do a parody of it and it was so good. Or It's All About the Benjamins became It's All About the Pentiums.
All About the Pentiums. I Love Germs, which is not necessarily a ripoff of any particular Nine Inch Nails song, but it's definitely a, you know, it has pieces of Closer in there, inspired by. One of my all-time favorites to this day is Grapefruit Diet, which is Cherry Pop and Zoot Suit Riot. My dad and I still sing Grapefruit Diet to this day because, again, the music and the lyrics, it sounds like the real song, but you're singing about a diet that's like cutting out everything fun to eat. And it's just, oh my God, I love Weird Al.
Oh yeah. And I'm so glad when you pitched this, because in my opinion, Weird Al should have been bigger in movies. And when UHF came out, actually, let's talk about UHF. So Dave, give us the pertinent deets on UHF.
Yeah, so UHF comes out in the glorious year of 1989, the same year as Batman, for, you know, competition-wise to know its place and why it kind of got dogged a bit. 1 hour and 37 minutes, rated PG-13, stars Weird Al Yankovic, Victoria Jackson, Kevin McCarthy, directed by Jay Levy, and he is the man that basically directed a huge portion of Weird Al's famous videos, if not damn near all of them. Also written by Weird Al, written by Jay Levy, and gets credit to Charles Holloway for the Conan the Barbarian or Conan the Librarian sketch. So UHF synopsis says, An unemployed visionary becomes the manager of a local television station. The station becomes a success with all sorts of hilarious sight gags and wacky humor. Basic premise is Weird Al Yankovic plays George, who is down on his luck. He's gotten fired from his burger job. His uncle is a gambler who ends up winning the rights of the TV station in a game, and he passes the station off to George to run because his aunt wants to see George succeed. George gets there, realizes they show nothing but reruns, so he's like, what if we do some programming? Meanwhile, you've got this tycoon that wants to get his hands on the station and make an ultra station, and so becomes a battle of them in the ratings. And I mean, the shows that he puts on the air are absolutely batshit, absolutely hilarious. UHF is one of those movies that you either like it or there is no in between on UHF.
Yeah, like I was surprised how well a lot of the humor holds up. I watched this obviously for this podcast, but I watched it with my next door neighbor, Liam, one of my best friends. And I was like, I'm surprised how well this still lands. And considering we live in the era of the YouTube and TikTok viral skit, any of those interstitial commercials like Wheel of Fish, Spatula City. Hell, there's a guy on Facebook. There's a guy on Facebook who every year makes it a point to go to where Spatula City is and does like pictures of it. And I found that fucking hysterical. But like, it's just it's almost like the precursor to the YouTube skit. And again, it went off so well. Plus a very young Michael Richards before he went into Seinfeld.
Yeah, I mean, Stanley Spadowski is kind of steals the movie because it's the guy that Al ends up putting on as the main guy. You got Stanley, because one of my all-time favorite bits in UHF is Uncle Nutsy's Clubhouse, because Weird Al as the joyful children's show host dealing with shitlord kids, because like my all-time favorite of that entire segment is what's your name? Billy what? Spits on him. And then you've got George going through the breakup later on. Hey kids, where do you want to go? That's right, Uncle Nutsy's Clubhouse. And then you've got the one kid that goes, I want to go home. Shut up, you little weasel. Like, there's so many different types of humor in this, because you've got the absurdist humor, you've got the slapstick humor, you've got just the general, like, I know I use this word all the time, but the batshitness of this movie. Like, today we're teaching poodles how to fly. Come here, Fifi, and just throwing pets out of a window, shaking an ant farm and being like, oh, they're pissed now. Like, the amount of weird ass absurdist humor in this movie that still holds up today and genuinely is clean. It's clean humor, because I mean, there's not a lot of raunchy jokes or even racist jokes for that matter, except for like, you know, the Sunni and supplies, and like that's the stuff that, like, you know, you kind of expect that from this movie and era. But I mean, even with that stuff in there, you could show this movie to damn near anybody today, and you're not going to have any.
Oh yeah, I think that's just Weird Al's entire mantra is like, it's eternal.
He wants the world to laugh.
No one's off limits from his jokes, which is kind of like that Don Rickles approach of roasting anybody. But one thing that is great about Al in general is he has no problem roasting himself, which is what a lot of this movie does.
I mean, both of the films that we're talking about roast himself.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you know, Weird is a little bit different in the aspect that it's supposed to be his biopic, but it's the only way that you would expect his biopic to go. But yeah, UHF just has a timelessness to it, even though it's dated as all get out from the concept of the television station in and of itself. I mean, you're talking about seeing episodes of Mr. Ed and all this stuff that they're talking about. Like, you kind of have to be an old school TV fan to also get a lot of the humor in this movie. But even if you're not, you're still going to have a good time with it if you love absurdist, batshit, and just plain wacky humor that you would expect from a movie primarily written by Al himself. And I mean, it's one thing that you have all the humor, but then also the cameos and the cast of the movie. Like, it's just a juggernaut of a film that I'm happy is finally getting its due with its cult status nowadays.
Yeah, like I found when movies are written to be for a star, they're either incredibly self-indulgent, they're bad, and the comedian's supposed to uplift everybody else around them. Whereas with this movie, everybody hits their mark. Like, there are very few bad performances in this. And there was one guy, I wish I could remember this actor's name, but the second I saw him, I was overfilled with joy because I know him from another movie, 4 Rooms, where he plays this guy with a gun or whatever. He's one of the TV station's goons. And again,
is he the one that tells Stanley to shut up?
Yes, that guy. And he shows up in 4 Rooms. I was like, I know that guy.
I can't think of his name, but he's a great mobster guy. I think David Proval. David Proval's his name.
Yeah, so that guy, fucking love that dude. But there is one thing about this movie that has always stuck with me. And if you've been my friend for any length of time, there was a moment in UHF where Weird Al calls his girlfriend Terry, and it's about the breakup, and he's screaming,
"Oh, Terry, I'm dying, I'm burning, oh God, oh God."
That is how I sum up my feelings on certain things. And I know I've texted Dave and I've texted Ken, like, this is how I feel right now. And that's exactly what I'm referencing.
Oh, Terry, I'm in hell. I'm in hell. It's so hot. Oh God, oh, please save. Oh God, it's so funny.
And again, it's just so relatable to me. Like when you mentioned Al has this very clean humor, the thing that I've always appreciated about him, he wants everybody to have a laugh. Like, there's no, like, it's not like, say, when you mentioned the Don Rickles approach, nobody is off limits. The only person I've heard say something similar, but it's in a cruel sense, is the South Park people, where they say, we're going to make fun of everybody, but you can tell there's a mean streak to it. With Al, it's so
they have a raunchy side to them, an edgier side, and Al has that cleaner, everybody deserves a laugh, but like insanity level. Yeah, absurd is a great way to put it. It's a touching mantra if he covers you. Like, if he wants to do a parody of your song, that's like a rites of passage to most of these artists.
Yeah, and like, it's just, when you watch a movie like this, it's something even your grandparents can laugh, because again, it's so, there's no other way to say it. It's so weird and so absurd that it's funny. And it's not like, oh, we're going to make fun of this guy because he voted this way. We're going to make fun of this guy because he looks strange. No, they literally do everything. It's like, oh, that guy likes hot dogs. Isn't that weird? Like,
well,
you know what I mean?
He literally has a joke in here about Geraldo Rivera opening up Al Capone's vault because he's like, he's the reporter that tackled Al Capone's glove compartment. Aha! Roadmaps!
Like, it's so just bizarre. And hell, when you look at the thing, like, he was making fun of daytime television before Springer, before Sally Jesse, before Montel Williams, all these guys, and you just see them go down the row of people: the Nazi, the serial killer, the Klansman, the Girl Scout.
Not to mention, too, he also pokes fun at movies inside his own movie. He opens it with a homage to Raiders of the Lost Ark, has the whole Saving Stanley scene dedicated to Rambo. Like, you can tell that he had his finger on the pulse of what would get people's attention. And, you know, I mean, it's no surprise at all that the movie unfortunately bombed the way it did. I mean, given that it was in a giant year of 1989, which had so many big movies. But again, it's just like, it's a movie that is still so timeless, even though it's dated. And it's because the way that he approached the humor to it was so genuine, his style, because there's no other way he could do it. And I mean, I guess it goes without saying too, that like at this point in his career, he was definitely, you know, a big name, because how the hell else would he get a movie? But was everybody ready for a Weird Al movie at this point is the question. And I think if they had done it maybe a couple years earlier, it might have been bigger. But the fact that we were just getting ready to enter the 90s, Batman was blowing up, movies were kind of getting taken more seriously, and these absurdist comedies were getting left behind in the 80s. I think that's why it's gotten its staying power now on video and, you know, film festivals and whatnot showing it, because it's just that movie that unfortunately got dumped when it did in time of premiere, and now people are discovering that it's actually a genuinely heartfelt, funny, absurd little comedy.
Yeah, because like
it has a legacy.
Yeah,
Legacy's a great way. Yeah,
because like you look at some of the other movies we've covered on this show, like we've covered Jerry Springer's Ringmaster, we've covered Howard Stern's Private Parts, and you look at these people who are icons in their field and get their own movies, some of them more memorable than not, but I always think people will look more favorably upon UHF because it is so accessible, whereas the other movies are, you know, one is having explosive diarrhea is more fun, and the other one is only covers their career up to a certain point.
Well, and I think it also takes a lot to make a parody film that can last this long and not have dated jokes. And that's, I think, a really, really big thing with UHF is the reason that you can show it to anybody is, like I said, the jokes are primarily clean and just absurd comedy. Whereas it's not like, you know, attacking a certain group of people or there's like, you know, jokes that just didn't fare well. It's a challenge to have a movie that is a parody film and still have it be acceptable. I mean, this day and age in that sense, because I mean, like you look back at the original Scary Movies, those have some problems nowadays.
Oh yeah. And like you even look at, I mean, one of the jokes that I could think of, I mean, you think of absurdist humor. We look at the Naked Gun movies done by the Zucker brothers. Yeah. One joke that you could not get away with today, or at least it might be somewhat frowned upon, is Lisa Marie and Leslie Nielsen are bringing stuff down from an attic, and it looks like he's clearly looking up her skirt, and he goes, "Nice beaver," and she hands down,
just had it stuffed.
Yeah, like, okay, that's funny, but, you know, a 5-year-old's going to go, what's that? Whereas, you know, who wants to drink from the fire hose? You know, they're two separate bits of humor. And like I said, one you could show to a classroom, one probably not so much. I'll be very curious to see how the Seth MacFarlane version deals later on this summer. And I think parody movies might almost be something worth checking out at some point.
With the trailer making an OJ joke, I'm like, okay, we're in good hands.
Yeah. Well, and I think also keep in mind that MacFarlane and Neeson have a relationship because
a really good relationship.
Once Upon a Time to Die in the West, and his appearance in Ted 2.
His cameo in Ted 2
is still one of the absolute best things he's ever done. And it's 5 minutes of screen time, if that. I mean, just again, going back to the absurdist humor, when you have that balance of, I mean, literally, would you, if you put on paper that Liam Neeson's going to go in this store and ask if tricks are okay for him to buy because technically tricks are for kids, you're just like, what?
Yeah.
But the way that they stretch it out in Ted 2 is what sells it. And it's his comedic chop. So him taking over the role of Frank Drebin, I'm all in.
I think it's going to work. Yeah. I mean, I'll be very curious to see how it works, because Leslie Nielsen was a comedian for everybody, but you'd see him do roles that weren't necessarily family friendly. Like, I know, Dave, one of the first shows you and I ever did, we talked about him in Creepshow.
Yeah. But I mean, and also keep in mind, Nielsen, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, his career got revitalized halfway through his lifetime.
Yeah. So
Airplane changed his entire career.
Yeah.
Which I don't think I've actually never seen Airplane, so I know.
Oh, Airplane! You are actually a lot of fun, Birdman.
Airplane actually holds up.
Yeah, Airplane holds up. It does have some of those jokes, but it's still pretty damn funny. It's, again, I feel like you can give more acclaim to a movie on if it has some problematic elements, if it does have also an absurd surrounding to it. And there are those parody films that have that, like Airplane and Naked Gun and, blanking on some other ones. But like those type of movies, I think you can kind of give a little bit of a pass to. Whereas, if it's something like Scary Movie that was going for an AIM, and you can tell the time that it was made was 2000, when I say this numerous times on Letterboxd that the 2000s were just lawless. You could do a lot of things in movies cannot do now.
I was gonna say, yeah, they just kind of let it go, and that'd be something for us to like kind of chat about. Like, I've been often wondering whether I should go back and rewatch the Scary Movies, because I remember when parody movies were like epic movie, date movie, scary movie, Meet the Spartans, which, why?
There's pieces of those movies that I like. Like, one of my all-time favorite jokes to this day in Disaster Movie is the chipmunks that sing Cannibal Corpse. I have never laughed harder in my life. So they come up. So keep in mind when Disaster Movie came out, it was the heyday of the Allen and the Chipmunk movie. So there's a scene where they've gotten into this place where they're hiding, and the chipmunks come out and they start singing. I can't remember what. I think it's "We Wish You a Merry Christmas." And then, the whole crowd just like, oh, that's so sweet. And then it cuts back to them. Their eyes go red and they start going into cannibal corpse. And it is one of the funniest whiplash moments of those movies that I died laughing at, because it's just hilarious to watch the chipmunks sing Cannibal Corpse.
I'm going to have to find that clip on YouTube.
Oh, I'm sending it in our chat right now while I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, it's like, I guess our final closing thoughts on UHF. It is an absolute gem. It really is. It's a nice snapshot of the 1980s, but as you mentioned, it's weirdly, it is unusually timeless in that regard, that if there's older people that are television fans, you know what the UHF band is, but you also talk about older things of like Mr. Ed, My Three Sons, etc. The old Nick at Night sort of stuff. It's there, but again, just so out there humor that doesn't feel out of place. It's not cringe. That's the thing too. It's not cringy dad humor. It's your fucked up uncle humor.
Yeah.
But it's not the fucked up uncle's humor where he's going to end up on a watch list. It's your weird fucked up uncle who's like, I didn't expect you to say that. Okay.
Well, and I think one thing that you can say both about UHF and Weird before we get into Weird is, while both movies have a level of comedy that is absurd and just, oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing this, there's a lot of heart in both movies, because Al is genuinely appreciative to his fans. And therefore, when he is writing these characters that he creates, even if one is himself, there's still a lot of that love in his music and his art that it portrays back, or that goes back into the fans, because he wouldn't do these levels if he didn't know that we were not wanting them or needing it. And I mean, that's also something that I take into account with him, is that he's always had that point of bringing out humor at key moments.
Absolutely. So Ken, what are your thoughts on UHF before we move on to Weird?
I mean, UHF is just it has survived the curse of a lot of films of that era in terms of comedy. And I can't really complain too much.
So there we go. So that is our thoughts on 1989's UHF. So Weird, the Al Yankovic story. This is a Roku movie, which was announced. And when they announced some of the casting for this, with Daniel Radcliffe, aka Harry Potter himself, starring as Al Yankovic, as a young Al Yankovic at the beginning of his career, being discovered by Dr. Demento early on, going through his record career, I guess up to probably his Eat It era, which would have been on his or was it the In 3D album or Fat? I'm not sure. Anyway,
Eat It was on shit. I'm blanking. Well, it was on the Food album for one, but I think he also had it appear on not Dare to Be Stupid. I think it is in 3D. I think you're right. Yeah, I think it is in 3D.
So this is a look at his career, and you think it's going to be serious, and then it starts, and it is just so unabashedly Weird Al. It's very hard to describe. So when I sat down and watched this for the first time with, again, Liam, because he's like my movie buddy, we watched this and I do not know what to expect. I was kind of expecting some last ha-ha, but I wasn't expecting what I got out of this. And this was, I dare to say, one of the most unexpected joys I've had this year, because again, it is so fucking strange. Like there's a shootout at Pablo Escobar's birthday party rescuing Madonna.
He's trying to rescue Madonna. Yep.
It's like, what? Then he gets busted by the cops, like, found your son. He was at a polka party. And it's played so fucking serious. It's like, I want to play the accordion, Dad.
Well, you know that this is based off, this is a remake of a 2010 Funny or Die internet sketch, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah. So 2010 Funny or Die releases a sketch called Weird, the story of Weird Al. That is it's a fake trailer that is the story of Weird Al. But one thing about Weird Al, anytime he's been on those True Hollywood Stories or interviewed, is like you said it at the beginning of the show, this man has no controversy with him, except for a few things that have already been surpassed by this point. And he even says that, like, I didn't marry my cousin, I didn't have a drug-addled point and everything. What he did with Weird was tell his life story in the way that you would expect it to be, inculpating every single other style of rock star's bio that has the horrible drug use and the crazed sex and the controlling parents and all this stuff. So, I mean, it is just the absolute result of what you would expect Weird Al's biopic to be like if he had his chance to write it, how he would want it to go, given that, the surpassingness of all these other rock star bios that we have now that are just absolute showcases of debauchery.
Yeah, like I remember when like Netflix did The Dirty about like Nikki Sixx and all that.
Crew.
And I'm thinking, all right, that's pretty fucking out there. But again, you see, you're right with all these rock star bars like The Doors,
Rhapsody, The Doors, Rockstar, Rocket Man. Yeah, I mean, there's no argument that we as consumers of media do not love a good rock biopic or music biopic in general. I mean, this past year we just had what is the name of the Bob Dylan one?
Complete Unknown.
Complete Unknown. Thank you. Yeah, Complete Unknown. And it's we crave these things. So naturally, if Weird Al's like, well, you want to know my story? My story is so boring. And that's the thing is, like, if you actually watch his bio, his story is boring. But I mean, it is interesting in the aspect that, he was a broke college kid who started doing parodies, recorded My Bologna or Another One Rides the Bus in a bathroom stall, and Dr. Demento played it. And I mean, from there, it just grew and grew and grew. But it is a boring story. So naturally, let's introduce the element of Madonna getting me into a world of crime and drugs. And my dad was so against polka, and polka was like all like the devil in this house. Like all of that stuff is just so funny. And yeah, the 2010 Funny or Die sketch did it first, which is directed by the same guy that did the Eric Apple.
Wow. Yeah. And like when I went into Weird, like I said, I didn't know what to expect. And I'll admit, if you've been following my social media this last year, my mental health hasn't been great. But this actually,
I'm sure you're just alone on that, buddy. It's been blue skies since 2025 started. Blue skies every single day.
Oh yeah, nothing but sunshine and rainbows and
exactly.
It really brought me up, and that's something I'm noticing a lot about the Weird Al vibe, the humor. He is not just an artist and a comedian. He is a vibe. And if you're willing to let yourself get into that, even for just a few minutes, it can really uplift you. Like, to share another memory, when I was younger, before I met my wife, Blair, I used to have a friend, and we could literally sing certain Weird Al songs back to each other because we knew them so well. And it was just constantly on in their car when we would just drive around aimlessly like fucking 20-somethings are want to go do. And it was such a carefree time. I think that's what I associate with Weird Al, is that carefree sense of youth. But even as I get older, into my 40s something now, I see Weird Al as that escape that always makes me smile. And when I got into Weird, I didn't know what to expect. And what I got, like I said, my favorite part is where he breaks up Pablo Escobar's birthday party with like a machine gun. He's wielding dual akimbo pistols. And I'm thinking, what the fuck? And it was just so out there laughing. So I guess let's go into the deets about this, because tell me more about Weird.
All right, so pertinent deets of Weird. 2022, rated TV 14, released on Roku, 1 hour and 48 minutes, titled Weird, the Al Yankovic Story. Synopsis: exploration of every facet of Weird Al Yankovic's life, from his meteoric rise to fame, his parody songs, to his torrid celebrity love affairs and famously depraved lifestyle. Movie stars Daniel Radcliffe, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Rainn Wilson, Julian Nicholson. I mean, the list goes on and on. Diedrich Bader plays your freaking narrator. Doesn't matter. Directed by Eric Apple and written by Al and Eric Apple. I mean, first and foremost, the movie is nothing but absolute bullshit. There is not a shed of truth in this movie, and what's best about it is it opens with Weird Al telling you that this is the absolutely true factual story. Nothing was changed, even though the producer said I probably should. This is how it happened. So, I mean, you open with that opening from him of telling you, like, this is exactly the facts. This is exactly what it is. And then we are introduced to, like you said, the concept of kids going to a polka party, which is like the drug party of that era and whatnot. And yeah, him getting busted with a Hawaiian shirt and wanting to learn the accordion because an accordion salesman comes to the house. It's just absolute insanity from the start, and only gets more and more insane. My all-time favorite segment of this movie, two actually that I have. The first one being the creation of My Baloney, because the fact that he takes a parody and is having his buddies make a sandwich while he's putting these lyrics together, and then they go and get it on Dr. Demento, which leads them to the party at Dr. Demento's house. Which is, if you are a comedy fan of the absurd level, but also a pop culture junkie, you will have so much fun seeing how many people have been coupled at this party at Dr. Demento's house, all done up like their stage outfits. Like, you've got Alice Cooper, you've got freaking Elvira or Vampira at one point. Like, there's so many faces throughout this. Tiny Tim is there. Like, and it leads into this whole standoff between who's he?
It's Jack Black.
Yeah, and who's
Wolfman
he playing?
Jack.
Wolfman Jack, yeah. And you've got this standoff between Wolfman Jack and Al. The movie just is not something that you have to pay a lot of attention to. It's just nothing but jokes, but also giving you a very, 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 very diet summary of Al's life, with so many things changed to, like you said, him having the gunfight with Pablo Escobar. There's the part where he has the freak out on stage like Jim Morrison did at the one concert where he's about to take his dick out. He's addicted to drugs. He gets woken up on the table. He gets brought back to life on the operating table and like has a thing of whiskey in his hand. Like, it's insane. Al literally only ever drank like margaritas, according to him, which is very, very briefly. He's never done a single drug in his life and has lived a very quiet life. And so the idea that he did this ultimate biopic, putting all these rock stars' craziest stories together in one movie, and then at the very end, spoiler alert, dies in an assassination at the Grammys, and then we have this Weird Al song about that's the whole story, now you know. Like, it's a perfect movie coming from the source material and the creator of what you would expect a biopic to be.
Yeah, it is so weirdly out there. It's so hard to not use that phrase in this. But after he gets assassinated,
the assassination is just
the assassination with an M16 like Rambo gun. Like, he gets gunned down on stage like an 80s action movie.
Oh yeah, and then like Madonna comes to his grave and like sheds a single tear and all that.
Sheds a single tear, but she also betrayed him at Pablo Escobar's house. I mean, like, oh my god, I've watched this movie I think a total of 3 times now, and probably when we get off of this podcast, I'm probably gonna go watch it again, because I was gonna do it before the show, but I was like, no, it's fresh in your brain because everything you remember exactly happened how it happened.
Oh yeah, like, again, it's so rare for me to find something that literally just expresses joy and fun, and considering 2025 is a very unusual year to say the least, it's nice that I discovered this movie when I did, because I think if I saw it when it came out during the pandemic, I wonder if I might have forgotten it during the time since.
I watched the Roku premiere, my friend. Me and Jeff, our buddy Keith, we were all at his place watching the premiere of it on Roku with the countdown and the little premiere and everything. Like, it was a big fucking deal.
Yeah. Like I mean,
this was huge for Roku to just pick it up in the first place.
No, it was a gamble.
Huge gamble. And I mean, like, I really want to highlight how amazing Daniel Radcliffe is as Al. The man has, even he admits, was a terrible actor when he was a kid in the Harry Potters. He admits, I'm a kid. The moment where he said, I actually became an actor, was in the fifth Harry Potter, I believe he said, is when he was like, "Oh, I'm an actual actor now," and he has become so great at comedy, it is insane. He is absolutely hilarious, and his comedic timing is absolutely amazing. And speaking of which, there's a 4K Blu-ray of this that's available through Umbrella.
And Umbrella, yeah. Shout has one, and Umbrella has one, yeah.
Which is the better release?
I think Umbrella probably.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Umbrella did, I think, the Terrifier releases, and I think they're very well
They
done.
also just did the one I really, really, really want, but I cannot bring myself to spend the money, that Super Mario box.
Yeah, I really thought about that too, thinking, oh, I really want to get this. But yeah, like ultimately, both of these movies are incredibly worthwhile watching. They're very accessible. They're very easy to find. Multiple releases. If you want to spend the extra money, you can find them. But they're also, I think they're both, I don't know, is UHF easy to stream right now?
I believe so. I think it's on like Tubi and Roku actually right now.
Yeah, so you can find that.
And the 25th anniversary Blu-ray is still available in print.
And 4K.
Yeah, so go out there, find these movies. Guys, this has been a real trip to talk about Weird Al. I'm very surprised how much of Weird Al's been in my life. Like I'm 43 now, and just again, the fact that I can quote so many of these things, the fact that I don't think I've ever told anybody that I used to collect all the Weird Al CDs and I knew all this stuff. And I'm genuinely surprised how much of this stuff I can just recall off the top of my head. So it felt nice. This was a nice cleansing edition of Loose Cannon. I'm very glad we got a chance to talk about this. I'm sure we'll talk about something fucked up next time here on the show. But hey, thank you guys for joining us. If you have any memories of Weird Al, we'd love to hear them. Feedback at thisweekingeek.net, or you can find us out on Blue Sky. Ken, if people want to find you, where would they have to go?
I am at kenreels.com, at Blue Sky, and Ken Reels pretty much everywhere else.
And Dave, what about you?
You can find me on Letterboxd at David SWMA, which stands for David's Watching Movies Again. You can also find me on Instagram at that same name, David's Watching Movies Again. And you can find me every Tuesday on the podcast I do with my buddy Enrique Couto, a Do You Even Movie, currently available where you stream your podcasts.
Fantastic. And me, you guys know where to find me, thisweekingeek.net, also over on Blue Sky. But also make sure to check out this episode post on thisweekingeek.net to find all of our letterboxes and our social media accounts. So guys, until next time, from the great state of New Jersey, we have been
Ken from This Anime.
From the world's best place ever,
David Denoyer of Do You Even Movie, coming to you from Ohio, reminding you that it is okay to be weird and you should absolutely be stupid.
I love it. And I've been Mike the Birdman saying, be excellent to each other. We'll catch you guys again next time right here on thisweekingeek.net. And we're going to go teach poodles how to fly.
Never before in the history of motion pictures has there been a screen presence so commanding, so powerful, so deadly. He's Conan the Librarian.
Can you tell me where I can find a book on astronomy?
Don't you know the Dewey Decimal System? Conan the Librarian.
It's a whole new weekend on U62, the reason television was invented.
Be there!
Yeah.
Are either one of these any good? Sir?
What?
Are either one of these any good?
I don't watch movies.
Quick! Change the channel!
You're wasting your life making shit! Nobody cares! These movies are terrible!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.